2024 is almost over, so that means it's time to look ahead to 2025. Today we're covering every Star Wars story coming out next year. Let's begin with movies, which is unfortunately still completely empty. 2025 will mark the 6th year in a row without a new Star Wars film, but the good news is it should be the last year that'll be the case. The Mandalorian and Grogu is set to release in May 2026, and it's sounding likely that at least one other movie will begin production in 2025. Both the New Jedi Order and Dawn of the Jedi films have had whispers of possible start dates in 2025, so even if we aren't getting a new movie next year, we can hopefully enjoy a lot of movie news. So let's move on to streaming, which is also looking like an emptier schedule than we've been used to for the past few years. Of course, we're currently in the middle of Skeleton Crew, and the final 3 episodes will premiere in January 2025. Andor Season 2 will arrive on April 22nd. Personally, this is my most anticipated Star Wars project of 2025. I loved Season 1 and wish we could have been given the original 5-season pitch for the series, but the streaming landscape is just a mess right now, so I think it's good Andor will be able to definitively conclude its story. Season 2 will cover the next 4 years of Cassian's life, with every 3 episodes covering 1 year. And by all accounts, it will directly lead into Rogue One, with our hero heading off to meet Tivik on the Ring of Kafrene. Ahsoka Season 2 will likely be going into production in 2025, but will not be released next year. Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who plays Sabine Wren, said at DragonCon 2024 she wouldn't be able to attend the following year because she would be filming Ahsoka Season 2. So there will probably be a significant gap between Andor and Ahsoka. As for animated projects, Star Wars Visions will be returning with a 3rd volume. This time we're going back to all anime from David Production, Kamikaze Doga, Anima, Kinema Citrus, Polygon Pictures, Production IG, Project Studio Q, Trigger, and Wit Studio. 5 of those studios are new, but 4 of them worked on Visions Volume 1, so I'm really hoping some of them choose to continue their stories. A sequel to Kamikaze Doga's The Duel wouldn't surprise me, since it got a tie-in novel and 2 comics. The 9th Jedi from Production IG is my favorite of Volume 1, so I hope we get to see Part 2 or the 10th Jedi or whatever they call it. But no matter what, I'm just glad to see the Visions line getting more installments. Those are all the officially announced projects we know of for Disney Plus so far, but I do think we'll see more Star Wars releases on Disney Plus in 2025. I expect Young Jedi Adventures Season 2 will continue to release more episodes in chunks like they did with Season 1, but that's far outside of the target audience of people who are probably watching this channel, so is there anything else to look forward to? Nothing is currently announced, but I do think we'll be getting 1 or 2 more animated projects. The Bad Batch had its series finale in 2024, and I think Lucasfilm probably has something else lined up to replace it. Something more along the lines of The Clone Wars, The Bad Batch, and Star Wars Rebels. That's complete speculation on my part. I have no idea if that's true. I'm just hopeful that there will be a new animated series to enjoy. Maybe we'll get an announcement at Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo. Speaking of Star Wars Celebration, I think and hope we'll see some fun new announcements there. The convention will go from April 18th to April 20th, which is a day shorter than other recent events, but plenty of time to give us an update on the coming films and maybe announce some new series or books or comics. My hope is that we get a tease for a new major publishing initiative since the High Republic is wrapping up, and that brings us to our next big topic. The High Republic kicked off in 2021 with Light of the Jedi, and over 4 years later, those interconnected books and comics will come to a conclusion. For books, we have the final young adult novel, Into the Light, releasing on April 1st. The current summary reads, as several crises all hurtle towards their thrilling and shocking conclusions, fan-favorite Jedi Knights and Padawans must band together to save the galaxy from the Nihil, the Nameless, and perhaps worst of all, a mysterious blight that turns everything in its path to dust and is seemingly impossible to stop. The cover features Reath Silas apparently working to combat the Blight on Kashyyyk. The final middle grade book, A Valiant Vow, releases on May 6th. It'll follow Imri Kentaros and Tep Tep as they work to stop the Blight while also dealing with technological terrors in the form of crab-like scav droids that destroy everything in their path. And the final adult novel, Trials of the Jedi, will come out on June 17th. We don't have a synopsis for that one yet, but author Charles Soule has described it as a cyclone, bringing all of the chaos of the High Republic era to an epic conclusion. In addition to the books, we'll have several comics to look forward to. The Marvel series returns under the name Fear of the Jedi. Its first issue is set to come out in February. The High Republic Adventures series will also come to an end and will include a special annual issue in January. 2 other High Republic Adventures branded series, Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone and Echoes of Fear, will release their final issues in January as well. And in April, we'll get the final 2 High Republic mangas, The Edge of Balance Volume 4 and Premonition. They're both part of the same ongoing story, but Premonition seems to be more focused on Yoda and what he's up to, and Volume 4 will serve as a conclusion to the main story of Lily Tora Asi and the Jedi Temple on Banshee. In November 2024, there was a surprise audiobook release called Seeds of Starlight. The title's description says that the story will continue in Part 2 in 2025. We don't have a specific release date for it, so I expect it'll be another surprise release. So that'll bring us to the end of the High Republic Publishing Initiative. I've been a big fan of these books, comics, and audio dramas, and the way they've all connected and built off one another. I've missed when Star Wars books got to tell big, epic stories like they did in the Legends days, so this style of storytelling was refreshing to me. Like I said, I hope we get an announcement of a new, similar publishing initiative in the near future, maybe at Celebration Tokyo. But in the meantime, the High Republic era isn't done, so let's move into other Star Wars books, starting with Wayseeker, which comes out on May 6th. While it's not part of the High Republic initiative, it is part of the High Republic era, which is a little confusing. It's branded as an Acolyte novel, following Vernestra Rwoh, who is in both the Acolyte and the High Republic books and comics, so this could be a nice bridge for the character, who I would say changed quite a bit during that gap in the timeline. Set 20 years before the Acolyte, it will also feature Master Indara, and will be written by Justina Ireland, who wrote many of Vernestra's stories. We'll also be getting The Crystal Crown by Tessa Gratton, a young adult novel following Yord and Jeki from the Acolyte. The synopsis reads, while their Jedi Masters clean up a political mess left by one of their own, Jedi Padawan Jeki and her least favorite Padawan Yord are drawn into a planet-wide coming-of-age ritual as featured guests. The first ritual goes well, but when the event is interrupted, Jeki and Yord will have to use all of their abilities and work together to keep each other and their new friends safe from danger. It will release on July 29th. Moving away from the High Republic, we only know of one more book set to come out in 2025, Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed. It'll be the first in a trilogy of books spanning the years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. The Mask of Fear picks up right after Episode 3, following Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, Saw Gerrera, and more. Alexander Freed is one of my favorite Star Wars authors, having done amazing work in the Alphabet Squadron trilogy. He is the perfect writer for a project like this, and I think it'll only increase my hype for Andor Season 2. The Mask of Fear comes out on February 25th. Our last major topic to cover is comics. In 2024, 3 ongoing series completed their runs: Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader, and the flagship Star Wars title. Right now, we seem to be in a bit of a bridge period. The Battle of Jakku macro series will have its final 3 issues early in 2025, along with the Ewoks miniseries and the Ahsoka adaptation. Fortunately, we do know of 2 new ongoing series and a handful of miniseries that are on the way. First, starting on February 5th, we have Legacy of Vader, written by Charles Soule with art by Luke Ross, which will tell the story of Kylo Ren set in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Soule is one of my favorite Star Wars comic writers, and he wrote Light of the Jedi, one of my favorite Star Wars books, so I am very into seeing him tackle Kylo Ren again. The first issue already sounds like it'll connect to Soule's run of the Darth Vader comics, which was amazing. I absolutely think the sequel trilogy era could benefit from more exploration, and I fully trust Charles Soule to do it. On the opposite end of the timeline, Mark Guggenheim will kick off Jedi Knights in March. Each issue of this series will follow a different pair of Jedi while they all deal with a single overarching villain. That villain might be At the Prime, a very deep-cut character from a cancelled 1986 action figure line. I think this sounds like a great idea, and I really enjoyed Guggenheim's Han Solo and Chewbacca comic series. It was 10 issues of non-stop pulp. I also want to point out A New Legacy, a one-shot comic that'll celebrate Marvel's 10th anniversary creating Star Wars comics with some of their biggest characters, including Dr. Aphra, Sana Starros, Bylert Valance, Darth Momin, and even Scar Squadron. It's planned for release on January 29th. Outside of Marvel, Dark Horse has some new comics on the way as well. Ethan Sachs will be writing a Poe Dameron miniseries set in the lead-up to The Force Awakens, which is interesting because Charles Soule already wrote a 31-issue Poe Dameron series set at the same time. I'm guessing this new story will take place right before Poe meets with Lor San Tekka on Jakku, maybe on his way there or something. We don't currently have a release date set for it. But we do have a release date for Ghost Agents, a Bad Batch story that'll come out on January 15th. Set during the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch are on a mission to hunt down the mysterious Separatist ghost agent who executed a daring heist on Coruscant. The thief's trail leads Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Tech to the seediest corners of the galaxy, a place where kingpins and thugs threaten the clones' mission and their lives. Dark Horse also has several graphic novels in the pipeline. Hyperspace Stories Qui-Gon Jinn was initially supposed to come out in January 2024, but got delayed all the way until March 4th, 2025, so hopefully that date sticks. There are also graphic novels scheduled for Mace Windu and General Grievous, and their covers were revealed at New York Comic Con back in October, so they might be on track for a 2025 release as well. And that brings us to the end of everything we currently know is coming out in 2025. Throughout the year, there will almost certainly be more announcements of books and comics, and like I said, Star Wars Celebration will probably give us more to chew on. This definitely feels like a lighter year with only one live-action premiere. It'll be interesting to look into the future of streaming after Ahsoka Season 2. I should say that it's also possible there could be a new Star Wars video game in 2025. I think Star Wars Jedi 3 is a ways off still, but Respawn has a first-person shooter and a real-time strategy game in the works as well, so who knows what the future holds. But that's all I've got for today. Let me know what project you're most excited to watch or read in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Star Wars coverage throughout the year, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.